Welcome to SCI First for Hunters podcast. I'm Craig Kauffman, and today we have one of the most renowned hunters in the world, J. Allen Smith. And I'm really excited about our conversation today. Allen is a tremendous hunter. He's hunted just about everything everywhere in the world. He's a very dedicated conservationist. He gives a lot back to hunting, to wildlife conservation. He truly is a leader in the hunting community. And I can't think of a better person to talk hunting with than J. Allen Smith. But also what we're going to find out is there's a lot more to Allen than many people know. He's an author. Well, just listen to the podcast and we're going to find out all about Allen Smith. Across the globe, from the frozen peaks of the north, through the rugged Rockies and deep woods of the Midwest, to the deserts of the Southwest, and to the sunlit savannas of Africa, the spirit of the hunter endures. It's a story written in tradition, driven by passion, courage, and respect for the wild. I'm Craig Kauffman, and welcome to SCI's First for Hunters podcast. Here we journey beyond the trophy room to discover the real heart of hunting, the adventure, the conservation, hunter advocacy, and the unbreakable bond between hunter and nature. Each episode will share the untold stories of remarkable people, legendary expeditions, and the enduring spirit that connects us all. So tighten your bootlaces, shoulder your pack, and step with me into the wilderness, because this is SCI's First for Hunters podcast. So welcome to SCI First for Hunters podcast, and what an exciting episode we have today. I cannot tell you how excited I am to sit and chat with the venerable, well-known, well-hunted Renaissance man of Safari Club, J. Allen Smith.
Woo!
Welcome. Yeah.
So glad to be here, Craig.
Yeah. And just for the record, this is episode 0002. So you're right at the pole position there. And I'm excited to have you, and I really appreciate you taking time out from all that hunting you're doing to sit and chat and talk with us.
So I figure, hey, why not me?
Exactly. And is it raining in Washington right now? I mean, that's what all we hear about.
Yeah, it is flooding. It's actually shut our duck hunting down. The ducks
Really?
have gone to shallower water. One of the farms was 11 feet underwater.
Oh, wow.
A couple days ago. And then right now, the southern one is down to about 3 feet, and we're down to about 7 feet and dropping right now. But yeah, it's torrential rain, all-time record floods, people losing their houses. I mean, not having some duck hunting and having flooded farmland, who cares when there's people lost their houses and stuff. But yeah, you just got to sit around and wait, and hopefully, the next week or so we'll be back to normal and whacking, stacking quackers.
Well, that's good. Well, listen, Allen, I'm going to start by asking you, how in the world did you discover hunting? How did that come about?
Yeah, my dad wasn't a hunter, but he was big in the outdoors. He took us fishing and camping, and I had two brothers. So you can imagine, raising three maniac boys. My mom and him would take us to the outdoors and let us burn off energy, as much as possible. So we got our outdoor experience from him. But we had a neighbor that was into hunting, local, deer hunting and duck hunting and that kind of a thing. And he had hunting dogs. And he got with my folks because for some reason, my brother and I we were born hunters or something. I mean, we had it in us for some reason. And he mentored us and took us out and got us our hunter safety training and all that. And then that next year, I got a shotgun for Christmas. And that was kind of the beginning of it. And he would take us over to Eastern Washington. And he had a son also that was a little younger, but he would go with us too. And so it just shows you what mentoring, how much it can mean to people just from our standpoint now and what we're doing in trying to do those kinds of things, what a difference it makes. But we started out just bird hunting in Eastern Washington, and then ended up getting into big game hunting. I started a shipping business in Alaska and in Kodiak. And once I started going to Kodiak, of course, hunting Mecca in Alaska, And
Yeah.
my first big game animal was a Sitka blacktail up there, and in those days, Kodiak was a target-rich environment, and I became a resident up there and, got to hunt all the Alaskan stuff, so that was kind of the beginning of the melee, for
Yeah. We can see that behind you.
yeah, and then it became
So, when you were on Kodiak, you were obviously chasing the blacktail regularly, and I don't know what the resident quota was back then, but probably a lot of deer, so you got a chance to hunt a lot, shoot
yeah.
a lot, and brown bear too?
Yeah, and you could get brown bear tags. Kodiak's always been a drawing for the south
Yeah.
end, but you could buy over-the-counter tags for Fognac and, Raspberry Islands, islands off of Kodiak. And then, of course, you could go grizzly hunting on the mainland and places like that, but, yeah, and, you learned a lot about the outdoors and about bears, the old story about in Kodiak that when you shoot a deer, it's the dinner bell going off for the brown bears is true. So, you'd have a lot of interaction, and you'd also see them during the summer when you'd be fishing. Kodiak's also one of the best fishing places on earth and still is. Yeah, it was great. It was a great place to learn about the outdoors in the true wild of Alaska, and I think we got well, I know we got 5, and I think for a while we got 7 deer per season.
Wow.
So you always had, tags in your pocket and which was nice.
Now you think about this, you started doing all this hunting in Alaska, a lot of it. When did you get the urge to kinda go to the next spot in the journey?
The first time I went overseas was to, Zimbabwe, and that was in the early '80s, and the Kleinbergers, if you remember them and their
Yeah.
taxidermy business, and they were one of the
Seattle area, right? Seattle?
right. So
Right.
my brother and I, when we were kids, we used to take the bus up to their studio and just wander around and look at all these heads and, taxidermy stuff that they had in there, and they also sold a lot of Alaskan goods and fur coats and stuff like that. So we would go in there, and so that was kinda, we had the bug about taxidermy and that. But remember I'd saved up and Kleinberger set me up to go over to Zimbabwe on a buffalo, kudu, hunt, plains game hunt, that kind of a thing, and that was it. I mean, you know, I was hook, line, and sinker, and it meant such a lot to me when I was there, and it was so exciting that on the way home, I always carry a yellow notepad and to write stuff down, and I made a game plan for my business so that I could save up enough money so that I could go 2 years from then to go back and, go on another safari. It was you know, that great of an
Yeah.
experience and loved every moment of it so much. And that was the beginning of it. It's kind of funny to say that your success is because you hunted, but it really is true. I mean, I'm sure there would have been other reasons, but it wasn't that I wanted a new car or I needed a new pickup truck. It was that I wanted to go back to Africa and go hunting. So I needed to work my ass off, in the
Yeah.
meantime. So, and
Now
then
what year was that, Alan? Do you remember?
that would have been, 83, I wanna say,
Okay.
83, 84, right in that bracket. But right after that, when I got back, an opportunity came up. I was a Canadian back in those days, and before I became an American citizen, and I could go to Russia and hunt, and they opened up Dagestan, which is north of Azerbaijan,
Mhm.
and they had the Eastern Tour was in there, or in those days, it was called the Dagestan Tour. So I was able to go over there at that same time when it first started breaking up and the Soviet Union opened up. Vladimir Treshchev, still booking and pioneering hunting over there. He got me in there and went up and, it was a great trip. I ended up not getting one, but
Huh.
it was a great trip and, got stuck in a snowstorm, and it was good for some writing material. I think there's been a few stories put in some of the books about that trip, and it was a
Yeah.
lot of fun, so
Now, did you get to travel a lot more as a Canadian citizen when you were hunting? Or I'm not sure when you became US citizen, but were you jumping around a lot at that point?
yeah, that was kind of the beginning of it, and it did help, you could go to places
Yeah.
that Americans couldn't go in those
Right.
days or it was more difficult, but, no, I became an American not long after that,
Okay.
uh,
Alright.
but I had the Canadian passport to use to go to Russia and China and things like that in the early days before it really opened up to the rest of the world, so
Yeah.
it was handy.
And probably in those days, going back in time here, you could probably fly from Anchorage to Russia back then, couldn't you?
There was a time period when you could. That was into the 90s, though.
Okay, all
The
right.
Kamchatka Peninsula
Yeah,
route, which was really handy.
yeah.
And
And
very
so now for you gotta cross the continent, cross the ocean, and keep on going.
all the
Yeah,
way around the world to get right back. Here's
yeah,
Northwest Seattle, and here's Eastern Russia, and you gotta go this way to get there now. So, yeah,
yeah.
36 hours or something.
Well, it's really advantageous on the frequent flyer miles, so you gotta look at the bright side of this as I see
Yeah,
it.
yeah, exactly.
Yeah.
And
I mean, it takes no time to g 2 trips, you're platinum, that's how that works,
that's
you
right.
know?
Yeah, yeah, your next trip is free
Yeah,
in case you ever want back.
yeah. So you obviously, there's very few people in the world, and this is me talking. So I know you're very humble. You are very humble about your hunting experiences and where you've been, and you've shared so many of them in books and your videos on Rugged. It's been fantastic, and it's helped people like me dream about like when I grow up, I'm going to have white hair and be Alan Smith. Well, I'm growing up
It's
and I'm
silver, by
getting
not white, it's silver.
silver, excuse me. Yeah, yeah,
Yeah,
yeah.
yeah,
So correction there.
yeah.
Uh, but like you've been doing this a long time, and probably there's nobody in the world, or only a handful of people in the world that has hunted everywhere and just about everything you can hunt. So how do you keep energy and excitement about like the the pursuit to hunt when sometimes it's got to be like moments when it feels a little bit like work?
Yeah, I think the perspective is that keeps you going, at least in my case, is I'm doing it for fun and I enjoy it.
Yeah,
It's not, thank God. I mean, it is a job also in a way, but I mean, what a better job is there than hunting and filming and writing and stuff like that? But I think it's all about your attitude and why you're doing it, and even the pursuit of the goals. It was never about getting another trophy as far as, a bowling trophy or
yeah,
accolade or something like that. It's always been more about, it's really fun and really cool to get to go to, name the exotic place, Tajikistan or China or, Nepal or all these crazy places. And I like it. I mean, I don't like the travel like I used to because travel's not as fun as it was 30 years
mhm,
ago and the airlines aren't what they were 30 years ago, blah, blah, blah. But getting to meet all these people in, new countries and getting to go to places, countries that there's no reason to go to a lot of these places, right? I mean, other than hunting. You're not gonna go to Nepal, I guess, to see Kathmandu maybe or something like that, but that takes about 1 day and you're out of there. But the people in the mountains and out in the field are so enjoyable to be around, and they're so much fun, and they just love having people there, to take hunting. Yeah, you're paying them to do it, so they're getting income from it and all that, but you can see that they're really happy that you're there, and you have interaction with them, you learn from each other, you have some laughs around the fire at night. It's, uh it's a great experience getting to, be in the big game world. So I think that's the part that keeps it from becoming, "Man, I don't wanna do this," or, "I don't wanna go on another trip," or, now don't get me wrong, there's times when you've been out, in the mountains for 14 days and you didn't get anything, and it rained and it snowed and you slept in a lousy tent and the food was lousy and all that, and you're flying home and you're thinking, "You know, maybe I should take up golf or something." Or basket weaving or something. But then, I mean, you're in the big game world right now. You It takes about 3 days, you're like, "Okay, when am I leaving on the next one? Okay, I gotta repack, I gotta get rid of all the stuff, get my
yeah,
sheep hunting stuff organized,"
yeah.
so I think that's a lot of it is. And don't you think that the buildup to going, like, packing and getting organized, checking your rifle. Okay, I'm not taking the 375 because I'm mountain hunting, so I better check my 7 mil, make sure it's working, all that kind of stuff. I mean, the buildup to the trip is half the fun right there.
Yeah. Well, you've certainly been on a few trips, and, and you probably could tell a lot of stories along the way, I'm sure.
1 or 2
100%.
probably.
Yeah. So I introduced you at the beginning by saying SCI's Renaissance Man, because one of the things that I truly love about you is your passion for music. Now, some people would have thought would say, hey, writing, that's pretty obvious because of your books and some of the other creativity, the video. But I know you love music. Like, tell me your musical journey.
We grew up in a musical family. My dad was a really good piano player. Played in bars and that kind of a thing until he settled down and had children. Thank God. And so, it was always in our lives. And both my brothers are musicians as well. As a matter of fact, my younger brother, Monty, is tremendously talented. He's got a recording studio and he's played with all kinds of famous people through the years and still is playing in bands in the casino circuit and doing really good. A great, talented musician, plays all the instruments. But so I was always involved in it too. And so growing up, played in rock and roll bands and, played bar circuit and that kind of stuff. And in college, and, but the music industry, as far as making a living at it, is really difficult. Eventually, you got to get a real job, which, and, and if you're, depending on how expensive your
Yeah.
hobbies are.
Yeah. And of course, you're competing against ex-musicians, right, for those jobs?
Yeah, yeah, true. But also growing up in the Seattle area, it was a huge music scene. You can name all the famous people from here, whether it's Hendrix or Ray Charles or, it just goes, the list goes on and on, the grunge movement, all that. Uh, so our exposure to great musicians and music was always there and part of our life. And as life has gone on, in the last 25 years, I've been able to get back into it a lot more than that period of busting your ass working at your jobs and stuff. So also, I think that the fun thing with music is that it's a creative outlet, much like writing is, or making videos and things like that, you practice and you can create music and, create music videos. Also, we have some music
Right.
videos that are out uh, and I think it's also one of those things that you get to share with fellow musicians, and you meet a lot of people along the way that have the same passion for music. And surprisingly, a lot of big musicians whose names will go unmentioned are big game hunters.
Yeah.
And
Runs in circles, doesn't it? Yeah.
yeah, it's funny how it all comes around,
Yeah.
and they may not be publicizing it, but you know, they're not above having dinner and having a cocktail in this trophy room, I can tell you that. So, and as you know, I mean, sometimes we do the music videos so that we can use them for the events, like at SCI when we did I think it's our number one video on YouTube. Our music video is We're Going Out Tonight, that
Yeah.
you yourself was one of the stars playing the fiddle. Wait, were you playing a violin or was that a fiddle?
I was actually playing a violin at
Oh,
night.
and
And,
what's the difference between a violin and a fiddle again?
uh, I think maybe one you play faster and one you play slower. I don't exactly know. We'll have to ask our friend Nick about that. He probably can clarify that point for us. But
Yeah, maybe it does have to do with speed. I'm not sure where
yeah,
that but, yeah, that was a fun video to do though with Banoviches and we had the wives in there. They were the cheetahs, weren't they, the backup singers?
they were the backup singers,
Yeah,
and of course, how that whole thing started is a couple of us were really looking to go out that night, and of course, you were in the room watching Rugged Expeditions, and we had to, like, pull you away, and next thing we know, we're downtown, and we go in, and it all came together. That's kinda how it went, wasn't it?
that was fun. Yeah.
Something like that?
They
Hey, now, you know what? I'm gonna ask our producer that maybe if you haven't gone out to Rugged Expeditions, site to see the video, you need to do that, but maybe right now we can just do a quick insert, and for the SCI members listening or watching, the question is, most everybody here is playing, but maybe somebody isn't. A lip sync, and you have to figure out who that is.
The kids
just right. Dig out that dress, the one that makes me hot. We're going out dancing where the music never stops. I'll get some whiskey, you get some wine. We're gonna rock the joint, we're gonna have a good time. We're going out tonight. We're going out tonight. Yeah, we're going out tonight. Show them how to do it right. We're going out tonight. Ain't stop until it's closing time. I gotta shine on my boots so you can see your smile. Put on your high heels, I see the back in style. Call up Louise and Jimmy Boy too. They could use some dancing just like me and you. Let's set this town on fire the way we used to do. I'm ready for some action and I know you are too. We're going out tonight. We're going out tonight. Yeah, we're going out tonight. Show them how to do it right. We're going out tonight. Ain't stop until it's closing time. Here we go. If you're feeling old, you better stay in bed. 'Cause when you wake in the morning, have an aching head. Back in the day, we did it all the time. Tonight, we're gonna party like we're still in our prime. Let's get on the dance floor. I know you got the moves. Shake it, baby. We got something to prove. We're going out tonight. We're going out tonight. Yeah, we're going out tonight. Show them how to do it right. We're going out tonight. Ain't stop until it's closing time. Yeah, we're going out tonight. We're going out tonight. Yeah, we're going out tonight. Show them how to do it right. We're going out tonight. Ain't stop until it's closing time. No, we're going out tonight. We're going out tonight. Yeah, we're going out tonight. We're going out tonight. We're going out tonight. Ain't stop until it's closing time.
All right, what do you think? Pretty good video.
Yeah, I didn't really see any what I would call lip syncing. Maybe there was some people that forgot the words in a couple parts, but
Yeah. So tell me, how many hits have you had on that on your website?
oof, I don't know. Between the website and YouTube, I mean, hundreds of thousands. It's
Yeah.
been really good. I don't know if it hit 1,000,000 or not, but and we're also on Apple and Spotify and all that. You can go to J. Allen Smith and Monty Smith on any of the streaming services, and we've got, I don't know, there's a dozen songs or so in there. And we're just speaking of the music, I'm glad you brought it up. We're just releasing the 3 songs that we recorded at Abbey Road Studios this
Oh,
past summer, and, that was, as you can imagine, getting to be there where all those famous songs were recorded and the Beatles did all their work in there, and we got a chance through an invite to go and get 2 days of recording time in there, and it was unbelievable. I
I
mean,
can't imagine.
you're on
Yeah,
hallowed ground. You walk in and
yeah,
I don't get nervous about a lot of things, but when I walked in and you're looking down in the big studio, I mean, I was like, "Uh-oh."
yeah. Now was it like going back in time? Y
Literally, the studio has not changed one
Yeah.
bit. They
I was
haven't
wondering.
painted it. The same pianos are in there. I mean, we got to play the piano that they recorded a whole bunch of the music on, Mrs. Mills' piano. We used the amp
Amazing.
from that era, the microphones from that same era because they've never made better ones, honestly, those big, German ones that they used. Really something, and of course, the mix that they did, and I think we had 57 microphones in the studio. Everything was mic'd, every drum piece.
Wow.
The amps had 2 different kinds on them. Your voice, had all these different ones. So it was really a treat to get to do. And Monty and the rest of the band, Craig and Bob, they came over with us to record with us, and it was pretty special. So there's going to be videos coming out as well with that'll be on YouTube, and that the songs themselves are already on Spotify. We redid a couple of old Beatles songs and then an original uh, Wig song, we call it. So it's got a little humor
Awesome.
in that one. Yeah, so
Looking forward to hearing them and also seeing it then. That's awesome.
they'll be fun.
So Renaissance man, hunter, musician, also a writer. I referenced that a minute ago. How many books are you up to now?
Got 8 or 9. 8. The ninth
Okay.
isn't quite finished. 3 novels. The novels are doing great. The first novel is completely sold out. It ran its whole first and second run. And the hunting books are, doing great.
Mhm.
One of them is out of production, also sold out. And then another one is almost done too. So it's been great. It's been a really fun experience to do. My favorite thing about it, though, is that we've taken all the money that we've made from the books and we've used that for conservation.
Yeah, it's
So we've
amazing.
donated that money back to Safari Club and the Safari Club Foundation and the Wild Sheep Foundation as well, and Grand Slam, and tried to spread the love around to the different organizations that are doing so much for wildlife. And it's good. It's
Yeah.
nice to give back, and after you do a fun creative project like that, it's good to put it out to the world.
What's been the most significant learning from that whole writing journey? Because obviously you didn't wake up one day and said, I'm going to be a writer. You had other things, you had businesses going on, but like all of a sudden you find yourself doing this. Like, what's been the big learnings of that?
Well, the reason I started was because I was writing articles for some magazines about different trips, oddball trips, getting to go to China and, all these Mongolian places in the early days that a lot of people weren't doing. So there was some demand for those
Yeah.
stories. Here again, that creative process of sitting down, grinding the crank, writing, getting it all down, then cleaning it up and editing it. And then, as you well know, with your new book that's out, your second book, that when that editor sends you back the editing, you're like, boy, talk about making a guy humble. Holy smokes. Like, just, just when you think you're not a bad writer, and then there's more red lines on the page than there is your lines, you
Yeah.
know. But, oh, I'm exaggerating. Maybe yours didn't have as many as mine
Oh,
had.
no.
Uh,
Yeah.
no, it's really it's a labor of love, don't you think? I mean, you don't
Yeah.
you the amount of time that you have to put into a book, especially like in your first one, where the size of it and the volume of the writing that's in there, that's work.
Yeah. It's not minimum wage either when you add it all up. It's not even close.
When you sell your 250,000th book, then they'll actually be worth $10 each.
Yeah, exactly.
Yeah. But now
And so you have another book, you reference the ninth one. You have another one coming out soon?
I'm working on one that's gonna be specializing in buffalo hunting, and that one is, it's a labor of love, and
Okay.
I'm really trying. Publishers are on my behind to get it done, so, it won't be for the next convention coming up, but, by the next one for sure. So there's a lot of pressure being put on to quit duck hunting and start writing more,
Yeah.
but, I'm only one man.
Yeah, that's right. Well, listen, we're here today on SCI First for Hunters podcast with Renaissance man, J. Allen Smith, and we're just going to take a quick break. And here's a word from SCI First for Hunters.
Why do I support SCI? SCI fights for hunters' access.
SCI supports hunter education.
SCI believes in wildlife management that's based on science.
SCI demands government accountability.
SCI supports wildlife conservation.
Hunting is a privilege, but it's also something that we were born to do.
Why do we support SCI?
Why do we support SCI?
Why do we support SCI?
Because SCI is first for hunters.
Hey, I'm here today with J. Allen Smith, and we're having a great conversation about hunting, about music, about writing. And now we're going to switch gears because when he started out, he referenced, frankly, the kind of the horrific situation right now in your home state of Washington with the floods and everything. And it's impacted a lot of things, but you referenced you stopped duck hunting right now. But I happen to know you are a prolific duck hunter. Even though I can't see any ducks mounted in your trophy room there, they must be somewhere else. But over there in the corner, okay. Ducks, ducks, ducks. And you love duck hunting, don't you?
Well, it's funny. It's one of those things, like I said earlier, it's where I started.
Yeah.
And it's almost like come full circle back now to where, still big game hunting, I still love traveling and all that. But we have really, well, wait a minute. I can't tell the world how good the duck hunting is in Washington because people want to come here and then that'll goof up my duck hunting. So I'm not going to say how good the duck hunting is in Washington, but it really is a treat that we have really good migrations through here on their way to California, coming out of Alaska and BC. So it's been fun to get back, into it. But the other part about duck hunting that I really enjoy is the prep work, the farming in the summer. You get out there and you drive the tractor and you're planting and you're cutting and, you're working on equipment. I mean, God bless the farmers of America because it is hard work. I'm only doing it for, growing stuff so ducks will come and eat it. But, you never know. Is it going to rain? Is it going to rain too
Right.
much? Or is it going to be a drought? Well, all these things that happen that our farmers have to deal with day in and day out. But getting the chance in the summer months when it's kinda dead and you're hanging around, the Northwest anyhow, to go and do that and, play farmer, it's really fun. I love it. Plus, who needs a gym when you've got 50-pound bags of fertilizer you gotta
Yeah.
throw, all
Yeah.
day? I mean, look at
And
those.
outside too, right? Yeah.
Yeah, and you're
Yeah.
outside and,
Yeah.
it's a good life, and, get in a little fishing, get the kids and the grandkids down there, and we had a little stream that runs through one of them, and, a little bass pond, and, yeah, it's good place to get out with the family.
Now, tell me, how long's the duck season run in Washington? Like, when does it start? And is it concurrent the whole way through or is there breaks?
No, we have a long season. I think we have, like, 115 days.
Oh, wow.
We basically started mid-October, and it runs through the end of January. We do have a little bit of a break for geese, I believe, for a week
Okay.
or so, but other than that, it's a long season.
Yeah.
Uh,
Now,
and
what ducks fly through? What are in the what's in the flyway?
we're a big mallard area. That's
Okay.
our main species that we target is gonna be mallards. We
Okay.
also have lots of pintails. We have, widgeon, lots and lots of widgeon, and actually, I just shot a Eurasian widgeon last week, which is super rare for us to get. Uh, and then we have teal, uh, some sea ducks come in, like coastal ducks, ringnecks, and things like that.
No, they
And
come in that far. They come in that far.
yeah, they'll come in. We're only 18 miles off the coast, so if the
Yeah.
weather gets really bad, you'll sometimes get them coming in. Spoonbills, always a treat to shoot a spoonie, especially a male in full plumage. But and then we get a lot of geese. We have snow geese, uh, cajillions of them. And then we have the typical honkers and cackling geese and that kind of stuff
Mhm.
too. So, you go out in the morning, you never know. Ideally, you're shooting greenheads, but if the greenheads aren't cooperating, there's always something else.
Now, uh, you have to have a favorite 1 or 2 stories of duck hunting. You probably didn't expect me to ask that, did you?
Okay, I do have one.
I
So,
knew I could count on you.
so you know how you get a rookie out there with you sometimes, and which is always fun because, we are about mentoring. And, this year alone, I brought 3 new people into duck hunting that never hunted at all before.
Oh,
And now
wow.
I've created these monsters. They've gone and gotten their licenses and their safety stuff. They bought a shotgun. You get them out there. So I got this guy and I'm telling him, you know, when there's a bunch of birds coming in and you shoot, pay attention because you never know where they're going to land or what's going to happen. And we got to keep our eyes on them. Yeah, I got a great dog and he's going to find most of them. But I was mainly telling him to keep his eyes open that, if we get a cripple that goes over to the creek or something like that. So not 20 minutes later, there's 2 ducks coming straight at us towards the blind, and they're low, and they're going, and they're not going to land. They're going to go over us. I go, see them coming straight at us? He goes, yep. And I go, just get on their nose, raise up a little bit, and let them have it. Going to be an easy shot. He does. He stands up. I'm waiting. He doesn't shoot. He finally shoots. The thing's only about 15 yards out, and it comes right in and hits him right in the middle of the chest.
Oh, my.
He killed it right in the head, but it just came straight in and boom, hit him right in the chest. And, whatever a duck weighs, 3 pounds, let's say, going 20 miles an hour.
I was going to say, yeah.
Hit him dead center. Luckily, he held onto his gun and it didn't go off or anything, but he's like, man, I didn't realize this was full contact hunting. I'm like, that's what happens. But
It sounds like he fared better than the duck, though, anyway.
Yeah. And there wasn't much of a retrieve for Jack. It was laying in the bottom of the blind. So it was perfect. First time in my life I've ever seen somebody get hit by his own duck.
Well, yeah, I was going to say, it probably happens once in a while because you have a lot of shooting up there, don't you? You can get a lot of shooting. Yeah.
Yeah, we got good limits here, and so that helps. But it's unfortunate we're going to have to wait for a while till the water comes back down and the ducks come back. But we still got a month, so we'll be fine.
Yeah. Now
and
I was
rest from it so that I can get something constructive done besides just duck hunting every day.
So, hey, I was just sitting here thinking, I was like, I don't think I ever hunted with you, but then I stand corrected because I think maybe in the weirdest of ways, you and I ended up beside each other in Slovakia on a bird hunt.
You are right. I would have said we haven't also. And yeah, we did. We hunted for 3 days there.
Yeah. And so I was thinking about the shooting because we were shooting those matched pair of birdies. Do you remember that? And you pulled the trigger first, and I will never forget your expression. I'm like, I think I'm changing guns or something.
They're for sure the most expensive guns I've ever had in my hands.
Yeah.
Were they? They belonged to.
They're Bela.
Bela had big.
Yeah, they're Bela's guns. You had one and I had the other.
That's right. And I'm thinking, oh God, these things are like $50,000 each or something. My first concern was not to drop it. Side by sides. I don't normally shoot, but I remember, like you say, that pheasant came over at Mach 5 at 60 yards up, and you're 60, going. Yeah. I guess I lead him by 10 feet or 20 feet. I'm not sure. And when I got that thing up, and it had no pad on it, remember?
No, straight cut.
In a 12 gauge with that English straight stock. And I think my shoulder's still messed up from that. Now that I think about it, I was going to blame it on my 577, but I think it was that Purdy.
It was that Purdy. And I remember I did one flight, and I was like, I saw you struggling away, and I thought, okay, 40 birds, I can probably get through this. And I was like, there's no way. I have way too much pride to hand back this gun. And every time I was pulling the trigger, I got back to the room to get ready for dinner. I took my shirt off, my coat and stuff off, and my shoulder was black. For one flight of birds.
Yeah.
That was pretty wicked.
Didn't you get the golden pheasant on that trip also, if I remember right?
I don't know if I did. I don't recall that. So.
Yeah, I thought you did. You or Keisha. One of you, I thought, ended up with the golden pheasant award.
You got to have one of those,
That's right. Yeah.
You got to have a golden pheasant.
Which you had to pay for, but yeah, it was great.
Exactly. It's nice they tell you that, of course, after you've shot it.
Yeah. Oh, no one mentioned that. Oh, you're the winner. You got the golden pheasant. That'll be $5,000, please.
Yeah, exactly. Well, listen, I'm here today with Alan Smith, and we're having a great conversation. And we come back after a message from SCI. We're going to talk about his favorite big game animal to hunt, and I'm guessing that it's really big, probably black. And we'll be right back with Alan Smith.
Did you know there is one organization that speaks for all hunters, regardless of species, location, or method of take? SCI provides sportsmen and women with voice where it matters most. The Capitol Building, the Supreme Court, the White House, The Hunter's Embassy. We are advocates. We are lobbyists. We are attorneys. We are hunters. And we are here fighting for you.
So I'm back with J. Allen Smith, and I know that one of his favorite species to hunt is the venerable Cape buffalo. And he's probably shot more than one or two or three or even a dozen. We won't ask him for the number. In a couple-minute conversation, we're not going to cover the whole of Cape buffalo hunting, but let's start at a high level. Like, when did you know that I'm going to hunt Cape buffalo as long as I can hunt?
From the first time in Zimbabwe in the early 80s, I was so scared, and I think I missed the first one. How you miss a Cape buffalo is just shows you how, uptight I was. But the problem was, before I got there, I had read all the Cape buffalo books, the maulings, the killings, all the stuff, you've read about.
Right.
I read way too many of Capstick's books before I went. Love his writing, I think probably one of the greatest outdoor writers of all time, and certainly most exciting. And I think I was so psyched about it that getting in close on it and everything else. And the good thing was the guy that was my PH, he was all about getting in close. None of this 200-yard shot stuff. He wanted to get right in on him. And in Zimbabwe, of course, it's that real thick bush. It's not wide open like a lot of Tanzania is. So you had to get in close. Shot him. He took off. Shot him, followed him, bloody. Now, you're following blood in this thick stuff. All the stories you've heard about are all about to come true. Just really a thrill. And found him dead. The first shot had killed him, but, Cape buffalo can absorb a lot of shots, as anyone who's done it knows. So I think that was kind of it. It set me off right there that I really like doing this. And it was a big part of my reason that I was talking about before about wanting to go back. Yeah, I wanted to go back and go to different places and go hunt different species and things like that. But it's kind of a bummer when you go to Africa, say to like the CAR, where although there is the smaller buffalo that's there, those forest buffalo. But when you go on a trip and there is no buffalo hunting involved in a trip, it's like, what are we doing? Especially when I start chasing.
Something's missing, right? Something's missing.
Yeah, you're chasing dikers in the rain in the middle of the night, with a flashlight and a pygmy, and you're like, let's go Cape buffalo hunting. This isn't that fun. But yeah, it's I like to think of Cape buffalo hunting as it's the most fun you can have with your pants on. For me, there's just nothing better than, getting to go and sneaking up on them. I've heard some guys say, it's not that big of a deal. It's just a big black cow. What's so big about it? Well, I guess if you shoot them at 150 or 200 yards with a 375 and wait till they roll over dead, it can be done. But that's not any fun. That's just not something that you want to do. So the trick is to get in close. And if you can shoot them with a double rifle, even better,
So we have a lot of SCI members, as you know, who like to go buffalo hunting, enjoy it just like you do. And we have a lot that are dreaming or aspiring to do it. And hopefully in their hunting travels, they'll get a chance to do it. What advice would you have to the first-time buffalo hunter? Because, I mean, you have a really good contrast here from everything you read and all these, premonitions you have of what this is going to look like. And then all of a sudden, there you are on the trail, and it's pretty much a dry mouth moment, right? I mean,
yeah,
100%. So what advice would you have to hunters going?
The big thing is being comfortable with the gun you take. I talk to a lot of people about Cape buffalo hunting, and I get the caliber thing, and people want to do this, and they want to get this, and they want to get a special rifle, and that's all great. But a 375 will kill all the buffalo that you want, and it's the minimum for Cape buffalo, and I think every country has a 375 minimum. But sometimes guys want to go to something else. But if you don't practice and you can't handle it, you're asking for trouble. And there's 416s that are great, but you got to go practice with it, and they're going to hammer you. 416's a lot of gun. And for the first time guy, make sure you've shot off the sticks, that you know where the rifle's shooting, you're comfortable with it, you're not gonna, flinch, you're not gonna, jerk the trigger, because it's all about placement. My buddy Ted Nugent says, "Aim small, miss small." No greater words ever said than that right there. Find that one little spot behind his shoulder, squeeze the trigger, and kill him. It's a big body. Don't be just aiming for general black area. And I think sometimes that's what happens. Guys kind of freak, they're like, "Yeah, there he is." And they don't even know what happened. And now you've got a problem on your hands. So be real comfortable with the rifle you're taking and be sure you can handle it. Obviously, you can graduate to 470s or double rifles, things like that, which is awesome and is the funnest way to hunt them for sure. That's, kind of old school. It's like bow hunting with a cannon.
Yeah.
But, you know, just don't be afraid of your rifle. And if you are, tone it down, get something else. Nowadays, accuracy with all these new rifles is not an issue. There's no reason like it was in the old days where you're using an old rifle from the 50s and 60s that may or may not group very well at 100 yards, which was reality in those days, as you know, from when we started. So today it's any rifle you get with good ammunition is definitely going to be accurate. So from there, it's the guy with the trigger that's the problem.
Right. Yep. Hunter error.
And
Hunter error.
with
Yeah.
Cape Buffalo, like everything else, don't rush the shot. You'll be able to track them again. They can only run so far. You can follow them. Even if they get your wind, buffalo will go sometimes a long ways, but they're always going to stop and look back. They're going to wait. They're not big runners as a rule of thumb. So don't try and sneak some oddball shot in. Wait for a good shot.
Now, I'm sure that you have never missed one. Well, you did say you missed one maybe on the first safari. And I'm sure every single one you shot has gone right down in a matter of moments. But maybe there's one situation where you were, and that's another thing too. You can hit them right and you still got to go get them, right?
Yep.
That's a fact. Tell us, what was a hairy time you had tracking one?
The worst one we had was on Mount Galai, which we actually have a video on, our YouTube channel on Rugged X. We had gotten in tight in the bush. It's real thick. Mount Galai in Tanzania is looking down on Lake Natron. Gorgeous place to hunt, but real thick. And my PH Sculpt Tate and I snuck in on this buffalo with the cameraman, and the buffalo was laying down. And I yelled at him to stand up, and he was at 18 paces. And when he did, he should have been broadside, but when he jumped, he was quartering away a little bit. And I figured, I'm shooting a 577 nitro, 650 grain bullets. I've got him. And I shot through the gut, quartering away to his far shoulder was the plan. And he didn't go down and he took off. And then I gave him another one in the back, in the behind, but didn't break anything as he ran away. And we tracked him for 7 hours, never got another shot on him. And we were on our hands and knees because the jungle was so thick. We had one of the local Maasai trackers that was crawling around with us. And the tension factor, because you'd find a little blood and then, fresh doo-doo. And, you don't know if he's 5 yards in front of you or 100 yards in front of you. We finally came out in this little opening, and all of a sudden, we just heard this, and buffalo will do that when they're mad, and he kind of woofed, and he started coming, and you could hear him crashing through the brush.
And how close is he? This is really close, right?
Yeah, when he woofed, he was probably 20 yards, but he was in the brush, and we couldn't see him, but he was coming straight to us. Fortunately for me, as soon as his head cleared, I shot him and, hit him actually right below the eye, just a little off center. And that brained him and killed him. But only his head had come out. And the best camera guy that I had through all those years of buffalo hunting was a guy named Jeff Parker. And he stood his ground with that camera right behind me, no gun, no nothing. And that thing's coming full tilt. And, boom, we got him. And what we found out later, which is really weird because you're thinking, how do they take two 5.77s from 18 yards and go that long? Well, the bullet, it was one of those Woodley softs, and it had opened up in the gut punch, and it never made it to the far shoulder or into any of the vitals. So, it was only bleeding from back there. Imagine, like, that's how big
Yeah.
they are that it didn't make it through. Now looking back, you know, I didn't have time to switch to solids because you're that close to it sneaking in, but, that was the last time I've used those, not to knock the bullets, but,
Yeah.
so that was the cause of the problem, was that it hadn't done the damage that it should have. So that was pretty hairy, and, I think we found him about 3 o'clock in the afternoon, and coincidentally, that's when we started drinking beer also that day, was when 3:05 actually, but,
Rather quickly, right?
yeah, I don't remember dinner that night, actually. It was kind of an emotional experience, but,
Yeah. How
it
often have you had a chance to take 2 buffalo at one time? Because obviously, many places in Tanzania, you can get multiple buffalo license.
yeah. You mean like, 2 at the same, like, shoot one,
Right.
shoot the other one?
Yeah.
Probably a half dozen times,
Okay. Yeah.
once in Zim, and the rest of the times in, Tanzania. Yeah, like you say, you have multiple licenses, and a lot of times what happens on Boys, especially, where you've got, say, 2 old warriors that are just hanging out by themselves, you whack one and the other one won't leave. So you've shot the bigger of the 2, hopefully,
Right.
and but, they've probably been hanging out together for who knows how many years, and the other guy just won't leave. So a couple of times we just had to kill him. It was either that or we were gonna have to go back and get the truck and run him off with the truck. Um, One time we had one that left, and then he came back to find his buddy, and we're there
Ugh.
getting ready to take pictures, and it's like, "Ah, here he comes," and he's coming in, charging, but, like, he's coming in, to mess with you. So, anyhow, I hammered him, and that one, we actually got a picture where we got the 2 of them, side by side, which was pretty cool, but, yeah, it's one other thing too about Cape buffalo hunting, when you're asking about advice, I think sometimes people, when they go Cape buffalo hunting, read too many stories or maybe watch too many rugged expedition shows of seeing these big monster ones,
Yeah.
these 45-inch Tanzanian, Moyawasi monsters. You know, those are few and far between. Um, it's like saying, "Yeah, I'm gonna go elk hunting this week on public ground, and I'm looking for something like 380 to 400." You know, yes, it might be your lucky day, but it's the same thing with buffalo hunting. If you're going and looking for that, you're gonna look through a lot of buffalo and have a lot of stalks that don't work out before that happens, and maybe not get one because, you
Yeah.
know, a big, huge buffalo like that is as hard to get as anything else, category-wise, whether that's elk or sheep or that kind of a thing. So, a good mature Cape buffalo is a great trophy.
Yeah.
Y They don't have to be that. If you do it right and you have a great stock on them and it's exciting, you know, who cares? You know?
And let's be honest, it doesn't take long when you're buffalo hunting to realize that it's really kind of the experience that far outweighs what's the headgear looks like. I mean, little or big, it's still Cape buffalo.
Yeah, and you've been to Moyawasi, like, in that long grass and had that experience where, you're doing the sneaky sneak and you haven't seen him for 20 minutes. And now all of a sudden, there he is. Yeah, and he's 15 yards away, and you go, "Yeah, I hope that's him." Boom, I mean, that doesn't happen when you're sitting at your desk in Pennsylvania.
Yeah. Well, listen, I tell you what, I don't know. I don't see in the background there too many Cape buffaloes that are mounted, but I know they're in another corner of the room. But I'm almost 100% certain that you haven't mounted all the buffaloes you've taken. I happened to be in Tanzania last year, like, in Moyawasi of all places, and there was Cape buffalo skulls everywhere. And I said to the PH, where all these Cape buffalo come from? Do you know J. Allen Smith? No, I don't. I think some of them never made it quite made it over here. They're being used on the other side.
Yeah, it's better to keep them in camp. There's only so many put up, and our rooms are only so big. But if we get a monster, we always try and bring him home. But
Yeah.
and by the way, love eating Cape Buffalo too. Just if anybody's got a question about are they good to eat or anything else, yeah, they are. The fillets are really good. Oxtail soup made out of Cape Buffalo.
Yeah. Yeah.
Um,
Well, I tell you what, I'm sure even in the year ahead, there's probably Cape Buffalo on your agenda somewhere. Where are you headed to next year? Let me guess.
we're gonna go to Tanzania. Shocker.
Yeah.
Chase some Cape Buffalo around and go and do Zanzibar. Chase the little Sunni that's there
Yeah.
and the diker that's there. That'll be fun. Something different. And what else we got cooking? Got our Argentina bird hunt in the works, and got a deer hunt coming in Oregon. Going to go up to Alaska, do some fishing and hunting up there, which we try and do every year. It's a great place and lots of friends up there that we go with. Mac Padgett, the high-tech redneck, who's been in a lot of my videos, he's got a place up in the Kenai, so we go up there and fish sockeye till you get tired of it, which is a blast. And but I've got quite a few openings still for the fall, which is one of the reasons why I'm really looking forward to going to the Safari Club convention this year in Nashville. Is even though you've been around and done some hunting, you're walking through the show and you go, "What? There's a guy that's got, roe deer in Hungary?" You look at your wife, "Doesn't that sound fun?" Hell yeah, let's go. February is set aside for the SCI convention. I mean,
And
that's
it's almost here. It's almost here.
I can't wait.
Yeah, me too. It'd
It's
be
just
great.
it's a blast. You get to see all your friends that are there that you haven't seen since the year before, outfitters, and you get to talk to the guy one-on-one, which I really like. It's one thing to get, something on the internet or, a website or that kind of stuff, but I think it's pretty special when you get to go and talk to the guy one-on-one and, see what kind of a guy he is, what he's got for prices, all the details and, sign up while you're there at the convention. It's a blast.
Yeah. And I always said, Alan, that I always viewed the SCI convention as the crossroads for the hunters of the world. And
That's a great statement.
it's just it's the place to go, and everybody comes there for that special week, whether it's January or February. This year it's in February, and really looking forward to seeing you and many others there. So,
Yeah.
hey, I'm with J. Allen Smith today, and we'll take a quick break to hear from Safari Club International, and we'll come back for our final segment on SCI podcast, First for Hunters.
Why do I support SCI? SCI fights for hunters' access.
SCI supports hunter education.
SCI believes in wildlife management that's based on science.
SCI demands government accountability.
SCI supports wildlife conservation.
Hunting is a privilege, but it's also something that we were born to do.
Why do we support SCI?
Why do we support SCI?
Why do we support SCI?
Because SCI is first for hunters.
I'm with J. Allen Smith, and I really appreciate his time today. And we've been talking a lot about ducks and Cape Buffalo and hunting and music, and great conversation today. And I want to just go into our last segment, just as we kind of took a break here. We were talking briefly about the convention. And I guess we'll talk a little bit about SCI. How has SCI changed your life?
It's really been the catalyst of getting into the big game world. I remember the first convention I went to in the 80s. It's mind-boggling. You walk in there and you think you know some hunters and you got some local guys that have told you about this or that, or, like I said before, you had booking people that you'd used. But when you get to go to the convention and meet people that have already been there and done that, and you can get advice from them, or, hey, what outfitter did you use when you went and shot that big blah, blah, blah? You can't find that anywhere else except, your local chapters is a great, place to experience that as well. But the organization itself is involved in all aspects worldwide of hunting. So when you're there or part of SCI, whether it's through the magazines or the awards programs or the record book, you can learn a lot, and it really helps you to answer a lot of the questions you have about hunting and where to go. And then, of course, on top of that, you've got all the great things that they're doing as an organization, protecting hunters' rights, gun rights, local hunting issues. A lot of people think of Safari Club as only being safari and that
Right.
we only do stuff in Africa and Asia and things like that. SCI is hugely involved at the local level, especially from the chapter standpoint, where they're putting money right back into, local events, into public ground, protecting hunters' rights locally, the political aspect that we're working with politicians and not only in the U.S., but around the world, meeting with them and advising them on CITES issues and conservation issues and really showing the world that the sustainable use conservation methodology is the only thing that's worked. It
Mhm.
really is the only system that you can point to and say, "Look what this has done. This has really made a difference for wildlife worldwide." So, I think that's been the biggest thing for me is it's an organization that you can believe in. It's very well run. It's got besides the volunteer end of it, we've got great staff, great leadership with Laird Hamberlin and the crew that have really taken us to another level. And you really see it at the convention when you go there that, man, this thing is rocking. There's so much going on and so much happening and, meeting people and you get to see all the celebrities like, your cousin Jim Shockey, he'll be there. I mean, Craig Kauffman will be there with his new books for signing. I mean, it's everybody who's anybody is there. So it's pretty cool.
So, maybe a little bit higher level, like you look at all this experience you've had hunting the world, Safari Club, you served on boards, you've been hugely invested with your own resources into the future of hunting. Like, what do you see, the future of hunting and the forces that are the powers behind what the future looks like? And I often wonder, are us old guys are going to go away someday? And like, what's your view of the future there?
I believe if we don't give back to help promote hunting, fishing, the right to hunt and fish, protecting wildlife, all those kinds of things, that it won't be around for our grandchildren. But on the other side of the coin, I mentioned it earlier, it's really incumbent on all of us to mentor, to get somebody out. And it's shocking. I said before that, I've had 3 new people already this year. Never mind your wife, but, getting her out, which is always fun. But somebody at work that wants to go out, even if it's fishing or camping or just getting them in the outdoors and experiencing things that we take for granted that we think, well, anybody can do that. It's not that easy. You
Mhm.
know, nowadays to find a place to go, where is the public ground that the guy can go and deer hunt?
Right. Right.
Uh, you know, in the Northwest, we're blessed. We have a lot of the mountains and that has forest and that you can go in. But get somebody out, get a kid out hunting. Had a couple kids out this year for their first times after they've got their, safety certificates and all that. Great time with them. I've created a couple of monsters. I'm getting texts from them now like, "Hey, how'd it go today? Aren't you supposed to be in school? Like, it's 10 o'clock in the morning. Does your mom know that you're texting me about, can I see some pictures of John with a duck?" You know?
Yeah. Yeah, you have to remind them that some benefits, like sitting in a duck blind every day, all day, are earned over time.
That's right, yeah.
It's not a 10th grade privilege, you know what I mean?
Yeah, quit sending Uncle Al, pictures.
Yeah.
You're supposed to be studying your A, B's, and C's, so
Yeah.
but no, I think that the future is bright, but it's gonna take work. It really is something that we all have to think about at every level.
Mhm.
You don't have to have a private place to take people, you don't have to take them if you're going fishing one weekend or if you're going, working at the farm, getting them outside,
Right.
putting up wood boxes. You know,
Yeah.
we did that last summer with some friends that were wanted to go down and hang out at the farm. They're like, "What? A duck will fly into this box?" Like, what? You know?
Well, listen, we come to what I think is my favorite spot of the SCI First for Hunters podcast, and I call that closing shots. And this is the one that's getting away. And so you got to answer really quick. and you got a couple rounds in the chamber.
All right, let me get.
And if there's anybody that can hammer these questions, it's you. So I'm going to give you.
Really? Or can I just make stuff up?
You can. Hey, it's artistic license. Nobody's
Okay.
ever going to know. You know,
right.
but whatever you say will be captured forever. So,
Okay. Yeah.
you know, you probably have to bounce out at some level.
All right.
So are you ready?
Go.
All kinds of different questions. And here we go. If you had to pick an airline to fly, who would it be?
None of them.
Okay.
I've run out of airlines to boycott.
Okay. If you had to pick a last meal, what would it be?
But I do like Turkish Air. The best of them right now, I would say internationally, is Turkish Air.
Okay, Turkish Air. And they're flying more
Yep.
and more to the States too. So
Yeah, it's great. We actually have a Seattle to Istanbul direct now.
yeah, that's what I'm saying. I
Woo!
see them popping up. Yeah. And that's
Yeah.
like gold to platinum because you're in Washington. It's all good. If you had to pick one last meal, what would it be?
My mom's roast beef, mashed potatoes with gravy, and Yorkshire pudding.
Oh, that sounds good. That
Yeah.
sounds good. And you're obviously a veteran of that fare, right? Your favorite continent to hunt?
Africa.
What has been your most difficult hunt?
Polar bear.
Did you ever miss an easy shot? And if so, what was it?
Yes, a lot of them. Let's see. What would be the worst one I missed? I missed a black bear with a bow at 18 paces, and it was on camera, and I thought I hit it, and I looked back at the cameraman and the guide, and they both shrugged their shoulders and went like, "What the hell was that?" I go, "What? I got him." They go, "No, we played it back. The arrow landed 3 feet to the left and 6 feet too close in the ground on film."
Yeah.
And they're like, "You can't miss from there." Like, he didn't even know we were there, broadside.
Next time, use a scope.
Yeah, that was the last time I used a bow, by the way, too.
What species has taught you the most about hunting?
Sheep.
Sheep.
Yeah, the climbing and the difficulty and the distance, for sure is, taught me the most about myself and what you can push yourself to do.
Okay, sheep it is. If you could play music with any musician in history, who would it be?
Clapton, probably at the top of the list. I have not played with him. I've played with quite a few other famous people, Jimmy Page, Joe Walsh, Ted Nugent. Got a great video with Ted of playing.
Yeah.
Zach Brown, great guy. But, my guitar playing is all based on listening to Clapton, since I was 10, 12 years old, and, love to meet him, love to get to play with him, be humble.
And last question then. If you could go hunting with any person in history, who would it be?
Ooh.
Besides Shelley, of course.
Yeah, I was gonna say,
I'm saving you there.
I've had the chance to hunt with some greats, Chris Kleinberger, Rex Baker, guys that have done it all and been there. If I went back in history, though, I do think it'd be fun to hunt with Capstick, during his day. Heard a lot of stories about him. Apparently, he was quite fun in camp. So that would be fun, but probably Salou. I would say historically, Frederick Salou was, did it all and did it the old way on horseback in Zimbabwe and Rhodesia and all that. So probably Salou, I guess.
And now you have to fly there. Or you have the chance to fly there. There was no flight options when he was hunting there. That's for sure.
Yeah, I think it was like a 45-day trip to get there
Yeah.
from England in those days or something. So yeah, thank God it's not that anymore.
Well, thank you for surviving the closing shots. I'll give you one last question and then we'll wrap it up. You
All
did
right.
great. You did great.
Pleasure.
So, all this experience, looking back on it now, what do you hope people will remember about you and your contribution to hunting?
I hope that people have fun when they go hunting, and I hope that I contributed to that part of it, that I want everybody to remember that we work our butts off all week so we can go hunting on the weekend, or that we save our money and we work our asses off so we can go on a trip somewhere. Make it fun. It If it's not fun, don't do it. Do something else. It's not a competition. It's not about who has the biggest blah blah blah. It's not about who has the most stuff. It's about having fun. And that's what I hope people remember. What I've done is that it's been fun all the way along. And when it's not fun anymore, I'm done. I don't know what I'll do, but if it wasn't fun, I guess I'd, you know, be a golfer or something, or,
That doesn't
I don't
sound
know.
fun to me.
But no, when I play golf, it's not fun at all. So it's really ugly. But no, I think have fun, enjoy yourselves. Uh, don't take it too seriously. It Don't make it harder than it is. Enjoy every aspect of it. When it's raining and you're sitting on the side of a mountain and you're freezing your butt off, and you've still got another 10 miles to go and you're carrying 60 pounds on your back. Whew, is that fun or what? You better make sure it's fun, because you're never going to do it again if you don't find some enjoyment in it.
Well, listen, Alan, I want to thank you for taking time today. I know you're a busy man. I really appreciate the friendship I've enjoyed with you over many years. One of the mysteries about us is we have no idea when we ever met. We kind of joke about that. We were just there, and I'm just glad about that. And at a much higher level, thank you for all you do for SCI, for Foundation. Musician, hunter, writer, author. I could keep going on the list, but you know what? You're an SCI member too. And I'm really proud to be in those ranks with you, and I appreciate all you've done to make hunting better, not only today, but for future generations. And thank you for your leadership. We really,
Thank
really
you.
appreciate it.
Thank you to you and SCI and all you're doing too. This is great. And I think these podcasts are going to be a lot of fun. I know you got a big exclusive lineup coming up. So this is going to be great. I can't wait to hear the other ones.
I want to thank our guest, J. Allen Smith, for joining us today on SCI First for Hunters podcast. Alan is a tremendous hunter, a tremendous conservationist, and you can tell by the conversation, there's very few people that have the passion and dedication and the willingness to give back to hunting and conservation like Alan Smith. It's truly a pleasure to have him with us today, and I want to thank him. Now, we talked a lot through the podcast about SCI. If you're not an SCI member, you need to join today. Go to SCI's website, safariclub.org, and join today, and join with thousands of other hunters around the world who are committed to protecting the rights to hunt and wildlife conservation. I'm Craig Kauffman. I thank you for joining us today. The sun has set on this great episode of SCI First for Hunters, and I'll see you down the trail in a short matter of time. But until then, keep the wind in your face, keep your eyes sharp, and stay hunting. Thanks for joining us.